Alright, it's Jelly here, and this is like my first battle in I forgot how long. This is actually the first time I turned on my game in about 2 weeks, so I'm a little rusty when it comes to this battle. It's a battle against Shotta, by the way, leader of AD, a pretty good friend of mine. Battled him like 300 times, and it's usually fun. This is no exception. This one's actually pretty funny, to be honest. So he leads off with a Machamp, and it's pretty weird that I led off with a Nidoqueen because he can't really do shit with a Machamp to my lead Nidoqueen. So he just forces the Lum out of me and just goes to this shiny Breloom thing, which doesn't do much. And now he's just switching out, and without even trying to, I'm pretty much scouting out his team right now. So I know half his team off of nothing, and I know the worst thing he'd probably do is just Fire Blast, but instead he decides to set up the Stealth Rock with the Heatran and then switches out to his own Gyarados, and I was like, okay, this is pretty weird. So I just went for the Waterfall to be pretty safe. I didn't feel like setting up too early because I knew it wouldn't work. So now I switch out because I have no idea what he's going to do. Probably Stone Edge is what I was expecting, so I go to Jirachi. And the Stone Edge is absolute shit, so I know he's going to switch, and I don't know what he's going to switch to, so I thought I'd just take this opportunity, set up a free sub, and see what was going on. So he goes back to the Machamp, which I actually should have expected, but I didn't. Instead, I just go for the substitute, but I still get a free hit on it, which is pretty nice, so I go for the Flash Cannon. It does okay damage, I guess. I didn't expect it to do much, so whatever damage I could get on it at this point is pretty good. Alright, so he breaks the sub, and yeah, so I switch out and I go back into my Nidoqueen because I know he really can't do much to it. He was expecting a switch to a Psychic type to take the Dynamic Punch or something of that sort, or a Ghost. And yeah, instead he gets the Nidoqueen and he comes out with his Gyarados again. This is a pretty bad spot for me because he could set up kind of easily, but even though I'm not really worried about it. And I get the freeze. And the reason why I get the freeze is because Nidoqueen is just fucking awesome. So he switches out to Jolteon. And yeah, I go for the Ice Beam again. And then he goes for the Shadow Ball, and I'm thinking I could live this actually. And I do live it because Nidoqueen is just awesome. And I go for the Earth Power and I kill the Jolteon, which is pretty great. So Nidoqueen is just wrecking shit and not even trying. It's just the lead. It doesn't really do much damage, honestly. So he brings out a Tyranitar, and my first thing is to figure out what kind of Tyranitar this is. So he goes for a Crunch, and I don't see any leftovers or life orbs, so I'm guessing Scarfed at this point. So I think it's safe to bring out my own Breloom, and he just goes right back into his Machamp, which is pretty good because I decided to set up the sub instead of going for the Spore right away. And yeah, now I kind of make a stupid move and forget that he has the Lumberry, and I go for the Spore. I should have just Focus Punched and got rid of it, but I didn't because I'm an idiot. So yeah, so I think I go for the Spore again. I'm not really actually sure. He switches out and goes into his Breloom, and this is a pretty fun part of the match. So I figured the Spore ain't gonna do nothing, so I just go for a Focus Punch to see what happens. So I end up going for a Focus Punch, and he lands up going for a Focus Punch, but because I'm faster, I crack him, and he doesn't really do anything because he lost focus, which is pretty hilarious actually. So this whole Breloom fight is just decided with punches. It's how I decide to bomb him. So I go for a Seed Bomb, which is going to take him out, and he decides to go for a Focus Punch again. I don't know why. Or yeah, I don't know why he would try that, but it's whatever. So yeah, he goes back into Heatran. I really can't do shit to Heatran. Well, I could, but I don't want to stay in and take it. So I go right back into Gyarados, which is the safe switch. And he goes for a Fire Blast and he misses, which is hilarious. So, and I know with the Intimidate, if he decides to explode, I'll be able to live it, even if it was just a little bit of health. And that's exactly what happened. I lived with just enough to survive the Sandstorm hit, which is great, and I got the Dragon Dance up. And he's gonna go right back into his Machamp and just Bullet Punch me for the kill. And he gets he actually does get a crit on his bullet punch, which is kind of funny because I think it actually mattered, though it didn't really influence the matches that much. So, yeah, so I go back into Breloom, and I'm thinking I could pretty much tear him apart now because he has nothing left to defend against Breloom, which is great. So it goes back into Gyarados as I go for the Spore, which is basically the safe option for me. At least that's what I was thinking. So I decided to set up the sub and hope he doesn't wake up this turn because that would be kind of gay if he did. So yeah, and he stays frozen solid. So now I know I have the game because other than the Gyarados, he has a Tyranitar and a Machamp who's just not going to be able to do anything to Breloom because he's hiding behind the sub. So he brings out his Tyranitar next, I believe. I'm not even sure. Yeah, he brings out Tyranitar, and he just decides to run because he knows he can't do anything. And yeah, so that's a good game. Peace.